consume 800 grams of a food that's supposedly good for you. EB, a 27-year-old store clerk, was referred to the clinic in internal medicine with a puzzling picture of intermittent abdominal issues, flushing, headache, joint, and back aches. The day before, EB just embarked on the vacation of his life. After saving for more than a year, he was finally ready to sail for distant seas and try exciting new things, including, unfortunately, what we can easily consider the most dangerous food in the world. This is really good, he thought, and it's also good for you. They say it's full of nutrients. I must take another helping, he thought. But just by eating this one food once, EB ended up in the emergency room. Even though the food was not spoiled nor generally considered unhealthy. Catherine here. I've been working with people with kidney problems for more than 10 years now, and it always baffles me the amount of foods that are considered good for you when they are actually very bad. You see, it's fairly easy to explain someone why they should avoid eating donuts or French fries or colas.
But that sure sounds unhealthy to me.
But try explaining why eating rhubarb may be dangerous or why alkaline water is bad for you to people, and you will see a very puzzled look on their face. What's even harder is undoing years, maybe decades of brainwashing done by the media. Years and years of aggressive marketing campaign by food brands have instilled in people a fake sense of what's actually good for you. This is why, very often, we end up finding the worst junk foods in the vegan or gluten-free island of the supermarket. That's why, in some cases, people have been eating the most dangerous foods right when they thought they were eating healthy, like it happened to EB. Yes, unfortunately, it may happen that some of the simple foods you included in your diet because you thought they were good for you are actually causing damage. And while EB case is not very common, many people have damaged their bodies by eating things marketed as good for you. So let's see what these foods are. This is a top 10, so let's start with something that is actually worse than people believe, but that won't send you to the ER. Number 10. As the name indicates, these bottles contain water enriched with mineral and nutrients.
And are vitamin drinks really good for you?
There are many varieties, each with an attractive name like Focus, Endurance, Refresh, and Essential. Now, what makes this bad for you is the simple fact that it is marketed for those that aim to get in better shape. When you see a Coca-Cola bottle, you know it's bad for you. But this, you may think, it's not. However, a closer look reveals that a bottle of vitamin water sold in the US may harbor the same amount of fructose as a bottle of regular Coke.
That's bad.
Fructose from processed foods is linked to very serious problems when consumed in excess. And I bet you didn't know how bad a simple bottle of water could be for you. So to make this more interesting, why don't you guys write down in comment section if you found out about supposedly good for you foods that are actually bad you didn't know about. Write it down in comment section. Now, the only reason why this dangerous water is not higher on today's list is because they also make it in a sugar-free variety, which is what most people are going to get. That comes with a danger of its own. However, it's our number 9 for today. Number 9, sugar-free beverages. Question: what if you only drink beverages that are sugar-free? Is that going to be bad for you? Now, sugar-free beverages and artificial sweeteners in general are not as bad as regular sodas, but they are not very safe either.
We all know this acquisition is going to benefit everybody involved, right?
You see, drinking too much sugar-free beverages regularly is not nearly as harmless as people think. First reason is phosphoric acid, a type of phosphate that's very bad for people with CRF. Way worse than the phosphorus you find in fruit and veggies. Second reason is the large amount of sweeteners added in these beverages. Sweeteners found in diet soda might negatively affect your gut microbiome, which is the community of beneficial bacteria in your digestive tract. Very bad for you. But there is more in sugar-free beverages that may cause issues, and several studies are linking these beverages to serious metabolic problems. To avoid this, only use artificial sweeteners in moderation. Number 8. This is a food I wouldn't recommend even in moderation. Number 8. Veggie chips. Although veggie is in the name, veggie chips and veggie straws are a terrible snack. These airy, crunchy straw-shaped crisps contain no fiber or useful nutrients, and they are just as bad as potato chips because they are full of saturated fats, sodium, and added chemicals. And they come with no redeeming qualities whatsoever. Veggie chips are a highly processed snack that should always be avoided. Now a question, is it really worth it to avoid all these foods? Guys, I often get asked by people here in Dabalokini, Catherine, what's the most important thing we need to do to improve our renal function? And I always give them the same answer. Watch what you eat very closely. It's a proven fact that the right way of eating can help you lower your creatinine in all the stages of CRF. And I know that many of you guys are already doing their best to improve, and that's great. But unfortunately, there are some foods so bad that eating them even as a part of an otherwise good eating plan would rapidly undo any improvement. So if you're doing all you can to improve your kidney health and nothing works, the reason may be one of the foods of today's video, such as our next entry. This is universally considered a healthy food, but it's a lot worse than people realize, especially but not just for those with diabetes. Number 7 is commercial honey. Honey may actually be good for you. Real, raw, unpasteurized honey does have some benefits. It's rich in phytonutrients that may help improve your antioxidant status. And it's not too high on the glycemic scale, making it safe to eat in small amounts. But unfortunately, most of what you can find on supermarket shelves is not real honey. The truth is that honey is the third most fake food in the world behind milk and olive oil. And this means that the honey you may be buying may be very bad for you. Many brands of supermarket honey are heated to very high temperatures, and that essentially cooks out all the good parts of honey. Even worse, what many brands do is mixing this pasteurized honey with high fructose corn syrup and other artificial sugars. This will skyrocket the glycemic index of this fake honey, making it unsafe for diabetics and bad for anyone else too. So be careful with supermarket honey and see if you can find some of the real thing at your nearest farmer's market. Okay, our number 6 is another actually good for you food that was ruined by industrial processing. Number 6 is peanut butter. Peanut butter is a protein-packed spread available at any supermarket around the world. And yes, this may be a controversial entry too. I mean, peanuts are good for you in moderation, no doubt about it. So, how come peanut butter is not? Just like for honey, the problem is not the main ingredient. It's what they add to make it taste better and also cheaper to make. Many brands today add ingredients like salt, sugar, vegetable oil, trans fats, and all that can really turn a natural food item into junk food. Now, for people with renal issues, it is also worth noticing that peanuts and peanut butter are pretty rich in protein. So limit the consumption of this food if you are limiting protein intake. Now, if you still want some peanut butter, consider that there are brands out there that make it with just one ingredient, peanuts. It's not the easiest to find though, but some supplement stores and online retailers carry it. Just be careful and double check that the ingredient list contains just one word: peanuts. Okay, time now for a fun one. Still real bad though. Number 5, Nutella. Okay. Whenever I tell people that Nutella is bad for them, I always get asked the same question. Who on earth thinks that Nutella is good for you? And yet, a few years ago, Ferrero, the brand that makes Nutella, had to settle a class action lawsuit for $3 million over the claims they made about their product. And it's not just that. They even had to change the label on the bottle and the way they represented their product in commercials. I mean, there are basically more hazelnuts on a Nutella bottle label than in the product itself, which is mostly sugar and saturated fats. By the way, there are 3 grams of added sugar in 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, and that's already bad as we have seen, but the same amount of Nutella contains a whopping 19 grams of sugar. Now, despite the fact that Nutella is just our number 5, it is still very bad for you. I wanted to rank it higher, but the simple fact that not many people consider it healthy anymore makes it less dangerous in my opinion. However, avoid it at any cost. Okay guys, time now to see more about Ibi, our case study. This is a rare case of someone who ended up in the emergency room due to just one food. He didn't have any pre-existing condition, nor he suffered from food poisoning or an allergy. After finding out this, the doctors were baffled, but there was no time to lose. EB conditions were now getting even worse. His tests indicated one abnormally high level, serum calcium. And to make things worse, nobody, EB included, suspected that a simple food item could have caused all that. So how is it possible that eating a single food can cause all of these problems? Okay guys, we will see how it ends for EB in the final part of the video. 4 more foods to come before that, and the number 1 is going to be the food that caused all of EB troubles. Something you really want to avoid no matter how healthy it is supposed to be. Number 4 is vegan meat. Okay, here's a textbook example of junk food marketed as good for you. When the first of these incredible burgers was released on the market, I decided to give it a try, and it didn't taste nearly as bad as it looked. But that was the last time I had one of those. And the reason is that it's clearly not worth it. I mean, anyone would immediately know, looking at the ingredient list, that something containing methyl cellulose, cultured dextrose, and food starch modified, just to mention a few horrors, is not good for you nor good for the planet. Dextrose and food starch modified are some of the worst sugars out there, by the way. Now, what's worse is that some of these fake meat brands are especially sly when it comes to marketing their products. They literally paid researchers to tell people that their burger is healthy, which is incredibly bad, also because this kind of behavior will make people lose their faith in science. And we also, the mayhem people who don't believe in science can cause. Our number 3 is something worth avoiding entirely. Number 3, granola.
Granola clusters are sweet and natural.
Oh, what a nice old commercial. They really focus on the natural part of the lie.
Sweet and natural.
Yeah, granola products are still sold as sweet and natural today. But both granola and granola bars are usually made using butter, vegetable oils, and white sugar. Just a half cup of Kellogg's Special K Touch of honey granola packs 9 grams of sugar coming from 4 different sources, including white sugar, corn syrup, and molasses. And many granola bars have up to 5 teaspoons or 20 grams of sugar in a single serving. Very bad for you. Sugar consumption is linked to inflammation, which may cause or worsen a number of conditions. Another nightmare born in the mind of marketing geniuses. Our number 2 is number 2, fruit juices. This is one of the worst. It's no secret that food companies are to blame for today's obesity epidemic, and fruit juices are one of the causes. If you're drinking a cup or 250 milliliters of fruit juice, you're ingesting up to 30 grams or 8 teaspoons of sugar. And that's a lot of calories that will go in your system real quick, causing a spike in insulin. And sugar, especially in this quantity, is very bad for anyone. What can be even worse? Well, our number 1, the food that caused all of EB problems. After being questioned about everything he did during the previous days, one detail caught the attention of the hospital staff. During his vacation, EB happened to eat a significant amount of one supposedly good for you food: fish liver. This was a light bulb moment because the staff instantly understood what that meant: vitamin A intoxication. Many people don't know this, and EB was definitely one of them. But fish liver can contain 100,000 IU of vitamin A per just 100 grams. Now, here's the problem with EB. He consumed around 800 grams of fish liver the day before admission. This explained all of his signs. Was EB able to make it home safe? Unfortunately for EB, there is nothing to do about his problems. The nutrient in question is fat soluble, meaning that the body would have already stored most of it to be released gradually, and that could have caused even more problems. However, in our case, serum retinol levels were high but didn't pose a threat to EB life. This means that he was safe. He was in fact sent home and told to avoid anything containing fish liver and to come back to be tested again. In just a few weeks, all the signs went into remission. Question: is there anything we can eat at all? Now guys, whenever I talk about what foods or supplements or habits are bad for you, I always get the same question. Is there anything at all that we can actually eat? Absolutely! In my video up here, you will find a list of all those foods you cannot miss in a real diet. And this is all for today. Thank you for watching. God bless!